And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to the Dice Tower. Today we're taking a look at Nētā Tanka. This is a game in which it's a worker placement resource management game where you need to get generosity points. And the victory points of this game, you're working for the tribe, showing your optimization ability by creating links and demonstrating your daring to become the new Nētā Tanka. Not a ton of background really for this, but it's a worker placement game where you're getting resources and building up your village, building a totem pole, and various ways to get points. I like worker placement games. Let's take a look. So as you can see, lots of pieces, lots of cards, lots of places on the board where you're going to be placing your workers to score points. But before we do that, let's take a look at the player board and see how you score points in this game. So here's a player board, and you're going to keep your resources over here. You have wood, you have hides, you have mushrooms, you have meat, and you have bone that you can collect over the course of the game. So you're going to be building here different huts, and when you build these, or villages, when you build it, it requires 1 wood and 2 hides. So to do that, you'll be over the course of the game placing them here, and this is now worth 3 points. I could actually start, let's say I have 2 hides here and I don't have the wood yet. I can start another hide here, although I have to pay a mushroom to be able to go to that spot without finishing this one, but it won't give me points. I only get points for an uninterrupted trail. So you can see I can get 3, 4, 4, 6, 7 points that way. In the middle, you're building a totem pole. You can build a totem pole with wood and bone, and it's going to be, for every 2 wood and bone, you're going to get 5 points at the end of the game. But you don't have to do that. You can build it basically as high as you want, because there's another little board that comes with the game, and whoever has the highest totem pole is going to score, and depends on the player, but in a 4-player game, for example, 8 points for the highest totem pole over the course of the game. Down here, you're placing food to feed your village. So each mushroom you place there is worth 1 point. Each meat you place there is worth 2 points. If you get 5 placed here, you'll also unlock this special ability, which lets you place a worker where somebody else is. And that's the points from here. You're also going to be building items over the course of the game. So you can see these items here. This costs a hide and a wood to build. This costs 2 wood, and they have certain amounts. And these both are 3 points. There are 3 types of goods. So you can see here, I have clothing, the drum, and the bow and arrow, 1, 5, and 3. But if you have a set of 3 different things, you will get 5 points. Each player will also be getting a random mission at the beginning of the game. And if you get everything on that mission completed, you will get a bonus of 3 points. And then finally, there are just some point tokens. And these will all be added to your score at the end of the game, and whoever has the most is the winner. So the flow of the game is going to take place over a certain number of rounds depending on the number of players. And players are going to be on their turn placing a worker on various spots on the board. And you can see these different spots on the board. Now some of the spots can hold 1 or 2 workers can go in this spot. If you have that special ability I talked about earlier, once per turn, if someone's in a spot you want to go to, you can go to that spot also. These spots here, though, when you go there, nobody else can go there, even if they have the special ability. And there are some spots on the board, like this one here, where as many people can go there as possible. Now, what makes this game interesting is that for many of the spots, if you have a person on this spot and on this spot here, you will get the bonus in between those spots. You put a marker here to remind you. Players are going to take turns putting out all their workers, and at the end, in turn order, you will resolve these by pulling them off the board and your reminder tokens and doing what you can. So for example, this spot lets me put a wood on my totem pole. This one also lets me put a wood on my totem pole. This one here gives me a wood or lets me put a wood on my totem pole. Some of the spots will just give you stuff. Usually it will show you, this is a card that the center spot can give you, pay a meat. You can take one of these cards face up next to the board that shows you the hand underneath it. This just gives you 3 wood. Sometimes, like this spot here though, it says take 2 wood. Where does that wood come from? It comes from this supply here. and you need to send someone here to put more wood and more mushrooms on that spot. And this will give you 1 wood or all the mushrooms from that spot. Now, at the end of a round, players will be removing their people, but if you're here on these footprints, this worker automatically goes here, so you have to go there on the following turn. Now, I've showed you some of the space on the board, but most of them are very similar. These allow you to put resources on the cards that you're building, those special items that you're making. It lets you put resources on those. This allows you to build spots in the village over here. Up here, you can hunt a buffalo, and this will let you capture a buffalo, where you can then turn them into hides and meat over here. Then you can go over to this spot and take meat from the buffalo area. There's also this stack of tiles that's near the board. This will be changed every round, and it's a place you can go to get extra stuff or take first place the next round. Otherwise, first place goes clockwise and gives you an extra special worker who can go to where one of your workers is. This will change on the very last turn. It has another way for you to get points. So for example, this one here lets you turn a bone in for 3 victory points at the end of the game. And these are going to be different. There are plenty of different ones. You're never quite sure what will be available over the course of a game. So players are going to take turns doing this, going back and forth, putting their workers, and then at the end of a round, you'll move the round marker, reveal a new tile here, and you keep going. If you connect to these 2 spots here, there's a whole bunch of tiles. You pick one of them to keep, and you can take that bonus later on, like this one gives me a wood. And there's a few other things, but that's the basic gist of the game. There's also a solo variant included with the game, where you can play by yourself with solo goals that you're trying to get, so you can play a 1-player game. And there is another side of the board where it's a winter side, which is pretty much almost the exact same, except some of the spots give you fewer resources or let you do fewer things on this side. This game gives lots of different resources that are different colors here, so it's pretty easy to remember that it's meat, I guess it's mushrooms, wood, hides, and bone, although the hides and bones are different colors. I do wish they put stickers on them, because on every spot on the board where it shows you getting resources, like right here it shows wood, it shows a picture of the wood on it, or it shows here, you know, a mushroom. It's not a big deal. It just seems odd to me that they show the picture, but then they didn't give us like stickers to put on it. Maybe it was a Kickstarter thing, I don't know. The components for the game are really nice. I really like taking a look at the board and seeing all the different things. I especially like, you know, the buffaloes being available there and seeing things like that. It really looks good. The game also comes with like these stickers that you can put in the back of the book. They're for achievements. I don't do that, but some people do that. The actual workers are fine. The board itself is another really nice thing. It looks really good. There's a lot of information on it, but it does tell you all the points. And the game also comes with a little score pad where you can keep track of all the points at the end of the game. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with the production for this game. The only thing I think is a little weird is that they have this round marker here that goes around, and at the same time you have a number of tiles here and you're flipping one over per round. So why have the marker? I mean, you just put the number of tiles there, and then as each one goes, you know how many rounds are left in the game. But I don't know, maybe it's a double control. So the idea of placing workers and then having a link connecting them give you an extra action is pretty good. Now those extra actions are not normally as good as where you place the workers, but what the game forces you to do is it says, do you want a good spot? Or do you want to place a spot here and connect your workers? So I like that concept of the game. I also like that the game has various ways to score it. This is a decent worker placement game. However, I don't know that I enjoy it as much that I want to keep playing it more and more. It's interesting. I don't dislike it, but there are some worries for me with it. First of all, the placing of links is a really cool idea. But if you place all 4 of your workers connected and have 3 links between them, that's 7 actions you get. If I place 4 workers throughout the board and don't connect links, then I'm only getting 4 actions. And I'm sorry, you play a game like this, 7 actions beats 4 actions. It just does. And so because of that, you really should link your people which once you put out your first worker kind of hampers you, and the game feels like there's a little bit of a, hey, this is what you need to do. Not to mention, the game can be a little frustrating then if someone else places a worker in such a way where it messes you over and you can't connect your workers. So the game also has various things. Hey, make a tall totem pole, build up villages, feed people here in the middle. But they're not that interesting to like follow one. You kind of have to do them all. So let's say I'm going to make a totem pole. I'm going to make the tallest totem pole alive. There's only 1 or 2 spots to get bone, to get the points from the totem pole. And if someone else takes it, what do? Now you could say, well, you can feed your village and then get the extra worker out there, but you can only do that once per turn. And so if I'm trying to do one specific thing, like maybe make some items, so I go to those spots. But if you decide in your turn, I'm going to go to these spots to make items, then we kind of clash with each other. And so my big strategy I was pulling, you've kind of messed it up a little bit, which is fine. That's how games work, right? But so that forces me to go somewhere else. So what I mean by this is I felt like the game basically said, do a little bit of everything. And then you play it again and you're like, I will do a little bit of everything. I'll be a little bit better at something. I might have the best totem pole. I might have the most villages. I might feed everyone in my village. But I'm doing things over. Also, the secret mission card, I don't think those should be in games unless they're interesting. In this game, it gives you 3 points for doing things that you probably were going to do anyway. I just found it to be one of the most boring mission card things in a game. So there's a lot of cool things about the game, but the game, again, I felt very constricted by what I could do. You put a piece here, it moves over here on the next turn, and now you have 3 workers to put out, and that's how life goes. You want this buffalo here, you need to go to this spot to put the resources here, to then take this to get the meat, and then go over here to put the meat here. Fine, but I just felt like it almost felt a little bit like work in a sense. So all this to come in and say is I think there's going to be a lot of people who enjoy this game. I really do. It's beautiful, has fantastic production. For me, I didn't dislike it. I thought it was fine. In fact, it's almost a game I would give a seal of approval to, but I'm pulling back on it a little bit because I didn't have a ton of fun with it. When I do worker placement games, I want to play a game where I'm like, whoo, look at all the cool stuff I got. Here I felt like I was constantly scratching, and I felt like, well, I'm putting a guy here, and my next guy obviously has to go there. Well, you blocked me? Okay, well then I obviously go here. And I just didn't feel the joy of, ooh, all these cool spaces on the board. So that's Nētā Tanka. Maybe just, it's not clicking for me, but it might for you. Check it out. I'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment, an interesting worker placement game.